We demand equality! How we fix Britain! Tax the super rich!
May Day celebrates the historical struggle of the working class. At the end of the day, the world we live in is the result of the overextended and obsolete rule of a class that no longer represents the interest of humanity. Everywhere in the world, wherever there is a fight against injustice or anything, is always at the end going to be a fight between the working class, ruling class.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any victory without alliance with the working class.
Yeah. And what do you think about the repression that's happening in London? Like, it seems to be really escalating. You saw Starmer's response to how they politicised the stabbing of the two Jewish men, and there was a stabbing of a Muslim man earlier that wasn't mentioned at all. And now they're talking about banning the phrase "globalise the Intifada." So, what do you think about the escalation of repression in London and the UK?
Abroad, they send their imperialist army, yes, to occupy, but at home, the same ruling class send their cops. So the police repression goes hand in hand with the bombs on Iran, which here we have now normalized the idea that the police can decide whether we protest or no. We normalize the idea that it's okay to stop Muslims outside the Prime Minister's house, and it's not a big deal. You know, it's more to do with normalizing Islamophobia. We normalize it because they need these kind of divisions to keep us weak and to justify the racist colonial wars abroad.
Long live May Day! They committed those crimes because they found out that the children in that school were the children of the military. They were children of the sons and daughters who were defending Iran. Children of the IRGC, which we're told we must make an illegal terrorist organization, because let's face it, everyone we attack must by definition be a terrorist. How dare they stand against our bombs?
So you're responsible for this amazing cheeky art.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can see what Iran is doing to America.
Well, what we're trying to depict is the fact that imperialism is dying. Imperialism is really being squeezed and kind of strangled by many things. So we've got the petrodollar and the decline of the empire, and I think Iran is playing a big role in that, really squeezing America where it hurts.
They're showing the world the weakness of empire, which to most people seems absolutely invincible, doesn't it?
Exactly. They're showing the world that empire, you know, they can't do what they think they can do anymore. It's just not happening for America and for the empire. So the war that they thought they could win in 3 days, they're not winning this war, not at all. And Iran has really, you know, that depicts what Iran is doing to them, really.
So do you think it's shifting the world to a new paradigm? We're moving to a multipolar world now?
Definitely. I think that there is no longer a thing where the powers are all power. You can see that they're not powerful anymore, and the countries that were the imperialist countries can also see that they don't hold the power, that power that they originally had. So it is becoming more multipolar, and with the rise of BRICS, particularly, and the powers of China, imperialism is really on the way down.
House of the people! And how do we tax the super-rich? House of the people! Hey, hey! Ho-ho! The billionaires have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho-ho! The billionaires have got to go!
Was a speech opposite the Iranian embassy, and it was a speech denouncing the terrible atrocity committed by the US and Israelis with British support against the school children unarmed. And they massacred. They had no compunction in massacring, you know, 186 school children and their teachers, deliberately. So I spoke against that, and I said, look, actually, despite the atrocities they commit, they're losing their grip on the Middle East. I said Iran actually is redrawing the map of the Middle East. The Sykes-Picot carve-up between British and French imperialism that came after the First World War is being ended. Their string of bases are being ejected. And I welcome that. You know, I'm so sorry for the pain of the Iranian people, but what they're doing is heroic, and the British working people, it's in our interest to stand with them, because it's our enemies. It's the enemies in the City of London who exploit and oppress us, who make our living conditions worse in every respect, who stand for that, who make profit from that. And it's our right and our duty to stand with the Iranian working people, irrespective of whether you like the complexion of their government or system. That's not for us. That's not for us to decide.
A lot of leftists feel the need to project that, I noticed. Take a very strong anti-regime, as they call it, to take that stand, which I see as being quite colonial.
It's totally colonial. It's because they're not actually leftists. They're the controlled opposition. Labour Party started out as a group, came from the trade unions. From the beginning, explicitly disavowed anything apart from parliamentary means of struggle. And from the beginning was very conservative. So they just fought for slightly better wages, particularly represented the better off workers. Those better off workers allied themselves with British imperialism. So it was always a colonial structure. Since discontent grew and opposition grew, the Labour Party has been delegated to control the working class movement. So what you find is Palestine Solidarity, Stop the War, all of the Trotskyite groups, Revolutionary Communist Party, Socialist Worker, the Socialist Party, they're all fake. That's why when it comes to imperialism, we're very clear. There's no contradiction with us. We don't have any money from the Labour Party. We don't have any money from our ruling class. But those groups do. They're totally controlled opposition. Michael Howard stood up during the Gaza genocide and started saying, oh, don't follow these groups. And he named them. Right. So at the same time as repressing us, arresting us at demonstrations, at our homes, trying to stop us from working, they promote those groups. And if they say, oh, we don't like war, but we hate the Islamic Republic of Iran, they're fascist. You see at the beginning of this demonstration, I don't know if you saw, we were attacked by a group of Pahlavis monarchists who tried to rip down the Iranian flag and call us fascists. So they turned reality on its head. So the police allowed them to do that. They want to intimidate us off the streets. There have been cases where pro-Iranian demonstrators have been stabbed in the street. Police allow them to do it. This is the way they do it. They use organised violence on the street. The police let it happen against us. Whilst they themselves repress us. And at the same time, they promote all these opposition groups that really what they're doing, they're demobilising the working class. They're saying they're foreign, they're Islamic, they're theocratic, they want to smash women's rights. It's all nonsense. It's actually total nonsense. And it's the opposite of the social situation you see in Iran. In the Palestine movement, they come and say, oh, terrible what's happening to Palestine, we're with Palestine, but we're also against Hamas, we're against the terrorist leadership. They say things like, oh, the Israeli workers and the Palestinian workers must all hold hands and lead to... Well, it's ignoring the situation, isn't it? One is weaponized fascism against the people, and one is the people armed self-defense trying to liberate themselves. So clearly there can be no compromise between those forces. So 10 million people in this country have marched for Palestine. That's a massive groundswell of opinion. But the bourgeoisie has sat back, and they've carefully constructed a strategy to crush us. They're increasing repression of demonstrations. The police, so Mark Rowley, the commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, has stood before the Zionist lobby with the Board of Deputies, and he's boasted to them, the Community Security Trust, boasted to them, we've never put such restrictive conditions on demonstrations before. They're stopping us from marching. They're saying you can't march near a synagogue as if we're somehow some rabid anti-Jewish group. We're not. We're against war. We're against genocide. So they're constantly seeking to portray us as somehow rabidly racist and anti-Semitic. It's a lie. We stand for working people. Yeah. Vast majority of Jews stand against Israel. That's the reality. Vast majority of working people stand against Israel. 10 million British people are marching against their crimes. The majority of British people stand against their crimes. They're desperately trying to stop it become truly conscious. Their enemy is the City of London. Their enemy is the Labour Party. Their enemy is the Tory Party, the Liberal Party, the British political system. These are the true financial gangsters. They had empire. They made so much money from it. They got so much wealth. They used that wealth to actually exploit the world, have the controlling interest, not just in the production of Britain, which we know has been deindustrialised. It's been deindustrialised and turned into a service economy so we can exploit the rest of the world. So when they say they're fighting to secure resources and British interests, they mean it. They consider it theirs. It's their oil. I'm sorry that the Iranian people sit on top of that oil, but that oil's ours. And they better get used to it. And we'll install these Pahlavis who attacked us are precisely the people they want to reinstall. Just as they reinstalled this fascist junta in Ukraine to attack Russia, they've got plans like this for every country all over the world. They seek world domination. The domination of working people, just as they do here. They think they have the right to dominate all working people. And they seek to spread racism, intimidation, these lies amongst us to demobilise us. People have to wake up to it. Open their eyes, look for real information sources, stop looking at the BBC, find out what's happening in the world, find out what's happening at home. We need to just break free of these ideological shackles that are put upon us. So that's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But
well, Iran is showing us the way, in their own way, but they're inspiring us, right?
There's a will for struggle and sacrifice for national liberation and freedom. It's there. It's up to them how they live their life. It's up to them how they distribute their resources. It's up to them to say it's their oil and the wealth of their country should benefit their people and educate their people in their culture and their way. There's this constant cultural imperialism as an excuse for actual resource imperialism is what we're really seeing.
To criticize how women in Iran dress or should not dress and what it means for women to have freedom. That is all designed to hide the real struggle for women's liberation in Iran. It is used as a cover to justify imperialism, a blockade in Iran and starving the people of Iran. It's justified. The word that we have now is the accumulation of what these liberals have been pushing, demonizing the government in Tehran, using women's dressing as an excuse to hide the real struggle of women there. If they care about women in Iran or anywhere in the world, the first thing they will be doing will be to oppose the war on Iran, the bombing of the children, and the bombing of women and men, their husbands, their brothers. That will be the first thing. But in order to cover for that, they wanted to think about what they wear in their heads, or etc.